Well, hello. Out for a midweek evening hike with Buddy. We're up at Old Rope Mill Park doing a little riverside hike tonight and just kind of enjoying some great weather. See if we can get a couple miles in and keep our pace up. So, haven't been up here in a while, so be anxious to see how the trail is doing. Anyway, that's all for now, and I'll check in along the way. Buddy does love being out here. All the smells and friendly people. Everyone loves to greet Buddy, but we're enjoying it out here. The river's flowing along pretty good next to us. We're upstream of where most of the kayakers usually put in here at Rope Mill, so not seeing much of them. It's probably a little late in the evening for them at this point anyway, but yeah, we're moving along. Anyway, we will check in again further on. Nice little break water here in the river. We get it tumbling over some shallow rocks. So you can definitely see the difference between the calm water behind upstream and a little bit rougher coming over it as we head downstream before it calms again. Anyway, just trying to show some of the more interesting aspects of the trail. And we'll be moving on. Talk to you down the way. One other interesting feature that's out here at Rope Mill as we progress along the trail is this old trestle bridge for the rail that the trail goes underneath. Obviously, I think it is still an active track, so best not to mess around up on top. But the youth of the area like to come put their mark around here, which is all fun. But, still continuing on with our hike. Right, bud? And here we have a view of the ruins that are along this trail, which give Old Rope Mill Park its name. It's a mill that was originally built in the 1800s and was the last surviving mill on Little River up until the 1920s, when Georgia Power began a program of purchasing land with the intention of building a dam and hydroelectric plant. However, we had the Great Depression come along, and that delayed some of the projects. And as a result, the property was leased to a couple of brothers, Joe and Smith Johnston, in 1928. And they converted and ran the mill as Cherokee Cotton Mills during that time. It reached its peak production in the late 1940s before it ceased operation with the damming of Altoona Lake and subsequent removal of all buildings from the floodplain. The mill, when it was in operation, was used to make rope, 3 and 4 ply rope out of coarse cotton material, and was quite an operation, being the largest employer in Woodstock at the time, Woodstock not being a very populous city during the early half of the 20th century. But nice little feature here along the trail, and something unique to this site. All right, well, Buddy and I made it down to the end as far as we were going to hike before it just ended up being a big mud pit full of tire tracks and people off-roading. So heading back now, chasing the sun again as we have a want to do. But just wanted to take a minute here by the river and talk a little bit about the trail here. I'm actually on one of the smaller trails here at Rope Mill. The trails system here is actually quite heavily used by mountain bikes. And there are several trails in the area that are set aside for that usage. Obviously, you can hike it, and they ask that the hikers walk opposite direction from the way the mountain bikers go, and that's indicated on the trailheads at each of the trails. But probably give one of those a try later on. But for tonight, this is going to do it. We're going to finish heading back to the trailhead and call it good for today. Thanks for coming along. Hello. Out here for another Friday evening hike after I got off work. I have come back out to Old Rope Mill Park again. But this time I'm trying the Avalanche Trail, which is, I think, one of the most popular of the trails here that is heavily used by mountain bikers. So I'm keeping my attention focused for getting out of the way of any of them, because based off the parking lot, it looks like there's probably quite a number out here tonight. So I'm going to stay focused on that. I'll video as I can, but looking to get just under 5 miles in on the loop here tonight. So we will see how that goes. Anyway, I will talk to you further on down. Figured while I've got some time before I run into any of the bikes, I'd give you guys a view of the trail. Definitely a lot different nature to the trail here versus those laid out primarily for hiking. Mountain biking trail seems to have a lot more curves, back and forths, and rapid elevation changes, ups and downs. Nice thing is the trail itself has a nice packed surface, even if it is on a fairly narrow path, obviously geared for the bikes passing. But so far, I'm enjoying this. It's something different, and new experiences are one of the things I'm all about during this journey. So we will see how the rest of the trail progresses, and I will catch you up further on. Well, I'm finally starting to get away from the parking lot and road area, where I was hearing still a lot of traffic noise. So it's quieted down a bit. Did pass my first biker coming opposite direction from me, and looks like I'm about to cross over a waterway. We'll see how that goes. Looks like it's not too treacherous. I may try and keep the phone out while we go. So, all right, I have made it across. I'm continuing on. Now that I'm away from more of the traffic area, it's turned into a very pleasant hike. The rapid ascent and up and downs have calmed down a bit, and I'm getting some longer stretches where I can enjoy the hike. So we'll check again further down the way. Got a nice bridge here over this waterway, so I can take my time and show you a little bit more of the trail and the scenery we have here. Based on the sounds I'm hearing, I may have some more bikes coming up here pretty soon. I'm on the second loop of the trail, so should be getting closer to the point where I'll be meeting oncoming bikes that started near the same time as I did. All right, well, I am about halfway through the third loop of this trail, which it does consist of 3 separate loops. And I'm at about just under 3.5 miles, but I think the other half of the loops are all a little bit more straight lined, not necessarily equal half in distance to the halves that I've already traversed. So probably still on track for getting right around 5 miles, maybe a little bit over that. We'll see how it ends up. Anyway, my light's starting to diminish, and I'm now, not necessarily backtracking, but heading back in the directions that I've already come. So I'm probably going to go ahead and close out the video here. I don't know that I'll necessarily be getting anything particularly interesting site-wise to share that I haven't already. So we'll close this one out, and thanks again for coming along, and we will see you on the next hike. Well, hello there. Out for a midday hike on my lunch break here. The weekend was not conducive to getting out between weather and activities. I did not get out, and as a result, I am falling behind on my pace. So despite the fact that I was trying to avoid this, I am out here on the nature trail in my neighborhood, which, like I said, I'm trying to avoid using that as a significant contributor to my trail hiking, but it is here. It is a natural trail. I am wearing pack, so it meets all the parameters that I set for this challenge, and it's probably about 1.5 mile trail or so. So an up and back is going to give me maybe somewhere between 2.5 to 3 miles. And it's one I can get out here on very short notice. So that's what I'm doing today. Taking advantage of the weather, the time, and just trying to stay on pace with my progress. So might give a little bit of video here, kind of show you the nature of the trail. But for the most part, I'm just out here to get some distance in. So we'll catch up with you a little further on, and thanks again for coming with me. Just give you a little bit of sense of the nature of the trail here. As you can see, like I said, it's natural trail, not even gravel or anything, but it does wander alongside the stream here. Frequent favorite for the residents of the neighborhood, especially those with dogs. Like to bring them down here and give them a chance to run about a bit. We've done that with ours many a time, but just wanted to show it off a little bit. It is one of the nice amenities that our neighborhood has, and I do try and take advantage of it. Anyway, back to covering the distance. More later. Okay, well, my recollection of the distance was a little bit less. It's actually about 2.25 miles, the length of the trail. And so I'm coming up to the trailhead closest to the house, opposite of where I parked. But I'm gonna call it here for today, given the time frame I have to deal with. So thanks again for coming along, and we'll see you next time, hopefully for something a little more interesting. Well, hello there. I'm out once again for a midweek hike, trying to catch up from the deficit I've found myself in. So I'm kind of rounding out this little series of videos with another trip up to Ropeville Park. This time I'm hitting the Explorer Trail. A lot more activity today. Parking lot was quite full, and I've already passed a couple of bikes on the trail. So keeping my eyes up. Again, this is a new trail for me, so we'll see how it goes. Looks like it's just over 3 miles if the All Trails app is accurate. So we'll see how it plays out, but I'm just trying to take the measure of this trail, and like I said, get some distance to keep my deficit from falling too far. So I'm gonna get back to it here, see if I can knock this one out quick, and we will catch up with you further on down. As with my trek along the Avalanche Trail, I'm getting that nice dichotomy of nature sounds intermixed with sounds of the freeway nearby. So hopefully the trail will continue to move away from it, and I'll have a little bit more peace and tranquility. In the meantime, the trail itself is very similar in nature. Not quite as many switch back and forth in rapid succession as I was getting on the Avalanche Trail, but still, you know, repeated small ups and downs, and it does tend to weave its way around a bit, just not in quite as rapid a fashion. But continue along. As you can see, the trail is well packed along the stretch, covered frequently by the bikes, but due to the weather we've had recently, frequent patches like this, which are a little bit softer in nature and have been chewed up a bit, but nothing that hasn't been very challenging to navigate around. So continuing on for now, and we'll see how we go from here. Always like to see interesting features, and we have a rather large mushroom growing out of the side of this tree here, which is covered by furry vines. So a little bit of a different sight, so I figured I'd share it a bit. Trying to give you all a bit of the view that I'm getting to experience here. I know wintertime views are not always that, you know, picturesque, but there's a certain simple aesthetic pleasure to them, and I find it most enjoyable to experience them. So just a nice little small valley here with a stream running through it, and a bridge crossing over it, which I'm about to walk on. But yeah, there you go. A view of the stream here, if I can get it in camera, and then a little bit more this way. But yeah, nice view. Continuing on. Well, I've reached one of the nearest points to the river that this trail has, and as you can see, there's a nice water break here where we've got a little bit of rough water and transition between two sections of the river. And across the way is what I believe is some equipment and work area for a mine or quarry that is local to the area. And continuing on, we've got a bit of additional equipment out on the river itself. So something you don't see on every trail. Figured I'd give it a share with you guys. Continuing on. Well, I'm getting close to the end here. I've gone about 2.8 miles or so. So I've got maybe half a mile left. As you can see, I'm walking at a height, but next to the river as I progress along, and as I made way quickly for a passing biker. I'm gonna go ahead and close the video out here. It's been another good hike, especially for a quick evening one. Glad I'm getting a chance to come out and explore some of these trails that are local to me that I haven't really been out on before. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. I'm nearing the end and my light is starting to fade. But we'll see if on the next sequence of hikes we can get a little bit further out again and explore some longer trails, some more diverse trails, and maybe hopefully some newer trails to me. But anyway, thanks again for coming along,
and we will catch you on the next one.